Alrighty guys, welcome back to another video. Now in today's video, I'm actually going to show you some more, today's video is going to be, it's going to be some pretty heavy stuff. It's going to be very complex. So if you're just a beginner, I would suggest going to my earlier videos because this one is pretty advanced. You might not, it might be a little confusing, a little overwhelming. So this video is a suggestion from Blue Cube. I think that's the account. I'm not sure. And Blue Cube asked for a winning system. So the first thing I thought of was a mini game. I'm sorry if this is wrong. This took me forever to get right. So I hope this is right. But basically, how this works is this is the lobby. You can see it's called lobby. Doesn't have to be called lobby, but it should be called lobby. Just because it's a lobby, right? So here's our spawn location. We obviously just spawn there, right? And then here we have our lobby spawn. Now the lobby spawn is important because once we've detected the winner, we can set the C frame of the player to the C frame of the lobby spawn. Make sure the cank light is off or else the player will be stuck inside the lobby spawn. And same thing for the game area spawn. It's the exact same thing as a lobby spawn, except the script just tells the player once the round starts, the player gets cframe.new, blah, 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 they get teleported over to lobby game area spawn, right? And then what's this? Well, this is my part. And what my part is basically it has a click detector in it, and the first player to click it basically wins the round, and everyone gets to go back to the lobby. Now, this is a pretty confusing script, and it is pretty complicated. There's a lot of things working. There's a lot of programs. So I warn you again, this is complicated. So don't get too overwhelmed. But there's this code. There's the main script. Now let me show you exactly where everything should go. So just a complete tutorial, right? So the first thing you're going to want to do is import a lobby and then just add one of these spawn locations to it. After that, you can duplicate it and you can just call this game area. Now, the two names of the game area and the lobby don't really matter, but what does matter is the name of lobby spawn. Lobby spawn has to be called lobby spawn with capital L, capital S. And game area spawn has to be game area spawn, capital G, capital A, capital S, right? And then there's my part. Now, my part has to be spelled my part, obviously, capital M, capital P, right? And this is all really important because this is how we access it in the code, right? So basically, essentially what we're doing is we're just counting down from I don't know, the intermission length and the round length, right? So we're counting down the intermission length, and then once we're done with that, we spawn over here, and then we just count down again and spawn back, and it's an infinite loop, right? And initially you'd think, okay, well, you could use a for loop for that, right? You could count down using a for loop, like for intermission length, and that's exactly what I thought originally. But in a for loop, you can't really have you can't really operate under a lot of degrees, right? You can only just operate under 1 degree. But you can in a while loop. While this and that is happening, do this, right? So as long as the round length in round is true, which I'll show you in a second, and no players have touched this red cube, right? Then we can continue the round. But once the cube is touched, we go back, and then it'll just go to the intermission loop, right? So let me show you how this works. Well, actually, before I do that, I'm going to show you everything. So in workspace, everything should look like this, right? Game area spawn, location, everything should look like that, right? And now we're going to move down to the first thing, which is replicated storage. You should have 4 variables, right? You should have first time, which is a bool value. You should have get out, which is also a bool value. You should have in round, which is also a bool value, and you should have status, which is a string value. You should have all of those, and they have to be named accordingly to what you're seeing on the screen right now. Now, I'm going to move on to server script service, which has the main script. You can just add in, call it main script. I don't really think it matters what it's called, but you can just call it main script. Now I'm going to move on to Storage UI. Storage UI, it's a little bit more complicated, but don't worry about it. You should have basically just, you don't have to call the screen GUI timer, but I called it timer because that's what it is. It just displays the intermission length, the time. Oh, we're in intermission. Game set 5 seconds left, 3 seconds left. 2. You know what I'm saying, right? And then you go over here and you add a local script, and then you can just do the timer display, added timer display. And basically, what the local script is doing is it's just updating the timer display. And that's a really easy script. I think it's like 3 or 4 lines. Pretty simple. Yeah. Oh, by the way, all of the code will be in the description, because I hate it when tutorials don't have it in the description. But don't just copy and paste it, because you're going to need an explanation. Things are pretty, you can't just change values and hope it works. No, you really can't. You have to have a full understanding of it before you try to do that. So let me explain. So if we go to our main script here, now the main script has to be in server script service, and I think I explained everything. So we're gonna have a couple variables. Round length is 5. That's just the length of the round, or the length of the actual game. So once you get teleported out into the map that the game is, that's just the length of the game. Yeah. And then intermission length is the length of the intermission. It's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, this is where things get a little complicated. Local in round is game.replicatedStorage.inRound. Local lobby spawn is game.workspace.lobby spawn. That is the lobby spawn. So we're accessing the lobby spawn from workspace. So yeah, see, it's right here. And then game area spawn is just the game area spawn from workspace. So game.workspace.gameAreaSpawn. And then local status is game.replicatedStorage.status. And then clicker. What's clicker? Click detector. Okay, yeah. So local clicker is game.workspace.myPart.clickDetector. That's the click detector that detects if it's actually what does that do? Oh, okay. That's the click detector inside my part. And basically, that's just checking, that's just the click detector, yeah, inside my part. And what that's for is, I already explained that, that's just checking if the player, clicked it. Say it was a race, and the first person to click the thing wins the game, right? So we have to have the click detector there to see if the player clicked it. And then local getout is game.replicatedStorage.getout. That's just a value that we already defined. Alrighty, so things are going to get a little complicated here. I'm not actually going to start up here, because the way this code is structured, this runs first, right? These are just functions, right? And these functions are called down here, right? They're not actually running. Like, a lot of people think in code things run, sequentially. Like, this line runs, and then that line runs, and then this line runs, and for the most part, yes. But when you're doing more advanced things like data sets and classes and functions, especially functions and methods and things, that's not the case. You have to call things, right? You have to define things, right? And you could call everything down here, right? You could call it down there, right? You could call the function, but everything could be defined. You could have a couple hundred lines of just defined functions, right? But you could only call them in the last few lines, so it only executes the last line, right? So that's how it works. So I'm going to start down here, and actually it's called on the very last line, which is pretty funny, but whatever. Anyway, so local function equals round timer. Now the round timer is just the big script that deals with everything, right? It's the whole. It basically describes the whole game, right? It describes, okay, we're gonna have the intermission and the game, and it repeats, right? So local function equals round timer. You can see that we spawn it down there, we call it, right? So while wait do, this basically all this does is just loops through. It loops through infinitely, right? And now for I equals intermission length. Okay, this is where some people get, a little confused. Don't worry, I'll explain it. So I is you're just setting a variable. So for I equals intermission length. So inside this for loop, we can call I. We don't have to say intermission length, right? And it also says that we're going to loop through intermission length. So it not only defines I as intermission length, which we can use inside the loop, but it also says that we're going to loop through intermission length. And how we're going to loop through intermission length? Well, if you forgot, intermission length is 10 seconds. So how are we going to loop through it? I mean, are we going to go count up from it or count down from it? Well, that's what we defined in these next two values, right? So we count down to 1, right? And then over here we count negatively to 1, right? So we don't count up to 1, which would just be 1 second. We just count 0, 1. We count from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. So if we just put 1 there, then we just go 0, 1, right? We wouldn't actually loop through everything, right? So then we do, right? Okay, let me catch my breath. So in round.value equals false, right? So we're not in the intermission. We're in the intermission. Sorry. We're in the intermission. We're not in the round. And then we can wait a second. And the reason why we wait a second is because we're counting down by seconds. We want this intermission length. We want this here. This is not seconds yet. This is just a value of numbers. This is just numbers, right? This is just a number. It doesn't correlate to seconds. But once we say wait 1 second, we immediately, since it loops through for 10 seconds, and it will repeat this 10 seconds, then we can wait 1 second each time it loops through 10 times. Therefore, eventually the intermission will, be 10 seconds. That's a kind of a hard thing to wrap your brain around. So I can explain that in another video if you guys want me to, but we can talk about that later. All right, what have we got here? So we've got status.value equals intermission that we concatenate I. So intermission is I seconds left. So every single time it loops through this, right, I changes. I gets subtracted by 1, right? So it goes 10, intermission, 10 seconds left, 9 seconds left, and down to 1, because we defined it as the last one is 1, and once it's 1, it breaks away, and we're counting by -1. So we subtract off 1 every single time we loop through it. So that's kind of hard to wrap your head around, but don't worry about it. And then get out equals false. Get out is another thing. So it's just another condition, right? And then local I equals round length. We're just changing I's value. And then in round.value equals true. So yeah, now we're in the round. And while I is greater or equal to 0. So basically what this does is this just changes. Basically, we're going to count down from I, right? We're going to count down from I. But every single time we do it, we want to keep looping through until I is less. So that's greater or equal to 0, right? So we'll count down from 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then once it hits zeros, this loop will break, and we'll just go on to whatever's later. Okay, that makes sense, right? I hope it does. And then we'll wait 1 second because we want it to, count down a second. We don't want it to skip a second or anything. I'll explain that later. Status.value equals game.I seconds. So this is exactly what we just do over here, but instead we just say game seconds left, whatever. Here's the tricky part. I equals I minus 1. Now, every single time this loops through, we subtract I off. Now, we already did that here, but this is just a different way of doing it. And then clicker.mouseClicked connect function player. Okay, this is a little confusing here. So when we when clicker or clicker is the click detector inside our our like winner script thing. And then once it's clicked, we fire off this function here, and this player here inside the function is the player who clicked it, right? So then we call another function, winner, which is up here, and with the argument player, which is just the player who clicked it. It's a little confusing. I can get into it in another video. And then inside this, we just print out the player's name, and then get out equals true. And what get out does, the round only operates if get out equals false. Now, once get out equals true, the round stops, and then the intermission starts. Well, gee, Alex, wait a minute, you forgot something. What about this? Okay, well, this is another function, and this function gets called every single time in round is changed. And what this function does is, well, if you're paying attention, we haven't done anything with C-frame or changing the player's position. And this is exactly what this does. This, every single time in round is changed, and in round.value equals true, which just means we're in the game, then we change the player's C-frame to game area spawn.C-frame. So we just teleport the player essentially to the game area spawn, and then we do the exact same thing for the lobby spawn, right? So you can take a look at that. Okay. So that was pretty good. Well, Alex, what's status.value? What's the point of status.value? Because we haven't gotten into that yet. What's the point of status.value? Well, status.value is a string, and the status.value essentially does is what it just controls this text label up here so that the players know what they're doing, right? And the local script inside this is super easy. Inside timer, it is so easy. It's literally just local status equals game.uplicatedStorage.status, defining a global variable. Local timer display equals script.parent.timer display. Super easy again. It's just saying that this timer display right here, this text label, it's writing to the text label, and status.changed. This is a function that gets called every single time status is changed, and we change status in here in this main script. So you can see the connection between those two. And then every single time it's changed, timer.display.text equals status.value. So the text of this timer display down here, you can see text every single time. That text, every single time status is changed, this text, timer.text equals status.value. And we're changing status.value here to this, right? So yeah. I really hope you guys, well, actually, let's give it a test, because, you know, I actually want to show you guys what this is doing. So let me open up output, right? And clear everything. So where you can see we're teleported, and then game, but okay, so the game ran out. So say no one found the cube, we can go back to the intermission, right? And we can wait out the intermission. Oh, we're talking to our friends. Hello. Alrighty, so we're back in the game. But this time we find the cube. It prints out the player who found the cube or clicked it, and it goes back to the intermission. So it completely ends the game immediately. And we can see that works again. So, yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope this helps you out in your game development. And I really appreciate it for watching. Thank you so much. 19 minutes. Jeez, that's a long video.